Sure.
Over to you, Mabs.
Cool, thank you. I first just want to say good afternoon to everyone listening on YouTube, watching on Zoom, and also we are live on Facebook. We are so grateful today that we're celebrating the last day of Women's Month, and we are ending the month with a bang. You know, we are chatting to the amazing women in leadership for them today to actually share what are the unique qualities of women leadership in our industry. And before I actually introduce them, because we normally start with the AMASA announcement and all of that. Or before I actually do that, let me introduce myself. I am Memoria Masilela, and I am the Vice Chair of AMASA. I'm also an account manager from United Stations. So hello, everybody. Hello. I wish I could see everybody's faces to just see how beautiful you all are. And the lineup today is really hot. So hello to our panelists. Before we continue, hello, hi. Thank you. I was actually saying earlier to the ladies that I'm not too formal. So yeah, please bear with me because I'm really, really passionate about the topic today. And I think it's one of the reasons that we wanted to talk about is just to really profile the quality, the unique qualities that we have as women in the leadership role. So as I said that before I actually start introducing the panel, I just want to take this time, instead of doing like our normal announcement as AMASA, I just want to take this time to shine a light on the amazing women of AMASA. They are contributing their time towards the education of the industry. These are amazing women. They are mothers, they are sisters, they are wives, they are everything. And these are the ones that actually keep AMASA going. I want to send a huge shout out. I know it's not a shout out time, but I just want to send a huge shout out to Karen Bailey, Mpho Masego, Lynn Jones, Fagan Abraham, Taryn Hood, as well as Shali Awanal and Natalie Haynes. I just want to thank you guys. You've inspired me as a woman, and I look at you, and every single time I grow in passion just because of the love that you have for the industry. So I just want to shine a light on them. Thank you for that. And moving on to our panelists. Today we have amazing women, and I'm gonna call them out not in any order, but just as I see their names, I'm gonna call them out, and thereafter they'll introduce themselves, because there's something about introducing yourself. It's gonna get into one of the questions we're going to be addressing later. So I just want to say, I just want to introduce to you Mate Ogaba, CEO of the Association for Communication and Advertising. Hello, Mate, how are you? I'm gonna list you all, and then I'm gonna open it up to you guys on the floor to then do an introduction. The next one is Litepo Mashaba. She's the Vice President of Africa Home Care Unilever. So hello to you, Litepo. And also we have Yvonne Johnston, and she is a master coach and as well as a CEO of a company, and she will also introduce herself shortly. We also have Kilebogile Mohaba. You'll forgive me.
Kilebogile Ramokgopa.
Yes, Kilebogile Ramokgopa, the founder and a program coordinator at Secrets of Sisterhood. Very interesting. Mate, I'm going to start with you. If you can just briefly introduce yourself so that our audience today can know who we have.
Hi, everybody, and hi, beautiful ladies, but I'm hoping there's men around the table as well, because we can never have these conversations without men. I'm the CEO of the ACA, Association for Communication and Advertising. I think in the introduction, do you want me to just give a brief where I come from, where I've been, or is that enough?
Where you've been, because I see, you know what I'll do, because I know we are very humble as well. I will actually, as we talk, we'll talk about some of the experiences you had, because I mean, really, you have 23 years of experience in the advertising industry, as well as you mentioned that you're very passionate about strategy, planning, and project management, you know, in the industry, as well as you know, you've built a solid reputation as a successful leader and a team player. So I wanted you to say that, but I understand now, so it's fine. Yvonne, we'll move on to you as well. If you can briefly introduce yourself.
Yes, sure. So I was in the advertising and marketing business for over 20 years. I then, so I'm sure some of you will know, I started up Brand South Africa for President Mbeki. And in fact, Letepu Machaba was our support from Unilever. So Letepu and I go back at least 20 years, maybe more. Subsequent to leaving Brand South Africa, I went back to school and I've become a coach. And today that's what I do. I transform people's lives, working with them one-on-one and in teams. I specialize in leadership development. I have a company which I have a business partner in who I hope is on the webinar today. She's in Amsterdam, called Firepower. And there we focus on courageous and conscious leadership.
Lovely. And Yvonne, I think I've encountered you twice in my life, and every time you blow me away. So thank you so much for that introduction. Letepu, I'm gonna hand over to you, ma'am, as well, so that you can introduce yourself and let people know, unless you also want me to go through the profile as well, but please take over from here onwards.
Sure. So my name is Letepu Machaba, and a critical part for me is that I was born, bred, raised in Soweto. Yes. I'm a trained biochemist, but I never practiced. And currently I work for a company called Unilever. Some of you, most of you may know. I look after home care for Africa across many markets. And what does that mean? In summary, I am the general manager. So to speak, responsible for growth and bottom line across at least 10 African markets.
Oh, that is so lovely. And I think from your perspective as well, what we're going to share, I'm sure the global perspective will come into this conversation that we're going to be having today. So thank you so much. Lovely having you. And we also have Kilebogele Ramokhapa. I got it right.
Ramokhopa, but I'll forgive you. I'll forgive you.
Ramokhopa, please take over, ma'am, and introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm Kilebogele Ramokhopa, born in Lebowakgomo, Polokwane, raised in Mafikeng. I'm working as a marketing academic at the Tshwane University of Technology, specializing in advertising and sales promotions, consumer behavior, personal branding, and neuromarketing, which is a new field that you're going to tap into. So I'm also a certified life coach, and I do a lot of work with women and especially young girls from university. That is why I founded Secrets of Sisterhood about 6 years ago. And it's wonderful to, walk a journey of mentorship with young women and young girls that are going to go into industry or even set up their own businesses. So I'm very passionate about women development, women empowerment, and women leadership. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as I said earlier, I think I'm gonna take all your numbers, ladies, because as I said, I look forward to having future conversations with you so that it doesn't end here. And I think Kilebogele from a mentorship perspective, because that's also my passion. So we'll definitely be in touch. And just to not waste any time on our topic today, as we close Women's Day, we're looking in and zooming into the unique. I just want to ease into this topic, and I want to start first just painting the picture of what this means actually, and how currently women leadership is perceived by the public. Because when you look at it from a storytelling perspective, you have, you know, a woman in power portrayed as very militant, very, you know, masculine, you know, not compassionate and all of that. That's what you actually see in a storytelling perspective. So my question to you is that, do what you've seen and what has been portrayed out there, is that really what we are? And how do we create a change in changing the perception about women leadership in general? And I want to start with you, Mate, if you can maybe address this question, then we'll move on to other panelists that want to add to that.
You know, for me, I think we have been put in boxes as women for generations and generations. And to get out of those boxes, we've got to do it ourselves, all right? You've got to jump out of that box yourself. Otherwise, nobody will allow you to get out of that box. But what we also need to recognize, this furor of working was always a man's thing, was always men going to hunt and come back home and provide to women. And that has always been the thing. But men in that space are aggressive, are pushy, are all of those things, but they're not seen as that, they're seen as men. Now, when you come in as a woman and you know your place and you know what you want and you drive and you push as much as a man, then it's like angry black girl.
Yes.
And we are equal to angry black girl when we speak up, but when men speak up, it doesn't equal that. And for me, there's also this perception of women not wanting other women to succeed. For me, that's the biggest lie, because it's not in our nature as women. Yes, there are some women who are that way inclined, but the majority of us, it's not in our nature as women not to bring sisters along, not to be nurturing, not to be, and I'm using the typical descriptor of what women are, because now the definition of women has changed as well. Remember, there's gender fluidity, there's all of that. So you get a multitude and types of women. Women are just not nurturers. There are different types of women. And there being different types of women, I think society can't accept that we are a kaleidoscope. And being a kaleidoscope, it depends what lens how you shift your lens in order to see me as a woman. And the perception that we are aggressive and whatever, what's wrong with that? If I am aggressive, why must I now be justifying me being aggressive? Which man has to justify that, you know? So for me, show up as who you are as a woman. If I'm an aggressive woman, I'll show up as an aggressive woman. If I'm a demure, gentle, nurturer, mama, I'll take care of you, show up as that. Yes. Be your authentic self. And when you're your authentic self, you are real to everybody. You are real.
Ah, that is so powerful as you begin with that show up, you know, be you, be real. And Yvonne, I just want to throw it to you as well to maybe comment on this first question that we have now, that, you know, the perception that is being portrayed, whether it's through storytelling, movies, or whatever it is, we always have this militant, very cold, uncompassionate woman sometimes that is being portrayed. So what is your take on that? And I think, you know, Mate is also just summed it up in terms of these different personalities and these different characteristics of women that feature in there. What is your take on that?
So I completely and utterly endorse everything that Mate has said. I want to take it actually to another level. I've been in business for 42 years. And my issue is that the discussion around women in business has not shifted.
Yeah.
And I find that extraordinarily depressing. The fights that we were fighting 40 years ago, I still see are the fights that are being fought today, which is pathetic. And that's one of the reasons why actually this is the only women's panel I have agreed to appear on this year, because I don't want to go into another talk shop where men are beaten up, where we run them down, where we don't acknowledge what they do. So in my opinion, I think it's time to dramatically shift the dialogue. And I'm going to build on what Mati said in terms of showing up, because for me, that is it. I have sat on boards where women arrive and their only contribution they make is to whine about the number of women who are not on the board. Now, for me, that's absolutely ridiculous. That's not going to move the needle at all. The only thing that's going to shift the dialogue for me is women showing up and moving the business forward. Move the business forward. Read your board packs. Arrive with contribution to the board meeting. I've watched plenty of women just let themselves down as far as this is concerned. You know, I look back on my career and I have never had a glass ceiling. I've never believed that there was such a thing. I don't have a university degree and I ended up working for the president. I have worked bloody hard to get where I have worked. But I have never, well, no, in fact, to say that there was never a glass ceiling is not entirely the truth. But my perspective is that I didn't allow the glass ceiling. I have resigned on the turn 3 times in my life. The first time, I'm going back to about 1992, 93. I was walking down the passage and my MD walked past me and he said, "A woman will never sit on my board." And 10 minutes later, he had my resignation on his desk. And he looked at me and he said, "Are you mad? What are you doing? What are you doing?" I said to him, "Why on earth would I, a highly ambitious, intelligent human being, want to work for somebody who's already decided that because of my gender, I cannot progress?" And so I left. The second time I resigned was a similar thing. I was the group media director of Ogilvy and Mather, and a new man came in above me as the head of the agency, and he unilaterally appointed somebody as the media director of the Cape Town agency. And I said to him, "That's not your job. It's not your job to do. It's mine. It's my department. That's my responsibility. You get on the phone, you say, 'Yvonne, sort it out.'" And I resigned on the spot. And he sat in my office crying, "How can you do this?" And I said, "Why? Why would you appoint me to a position and then undermine me?" So my point is, what are we as women allowing? There's no point in accepting a job for a lower salary and then complaining that we earn less. Don't accept the job. Negotiate. So in summary, what I think we need to do is to take responsibility. Stop allowing bad behavior. If you want to earn as much as the men, go and find out how much the men earn and demand that salary. You know, I don't want to hear the whinging anymore. The whinging is not working. All it does is it puts us back in that box that Mate talked about.
Yeah.
It puts us back in the box. Get out of the box by behaving properly.
Absolutely. And you've touched on so many points there. And thank you so much for sharing your personal experience, which is why we're even having this conversation. And I just want to say to our male counterparts or our colleagues, our male colleagues who are watching right now, that this session helps us to also bridge the gap between us. It's really about just us understanding each other and letting you in our world and our perspective in terms of how we see leadership and what are the things we feel should be taking place and what maybe you should be more conscious about regarding a woman in a leadership role. So thank you so much, Yvonne, for your comment. And there's something that Gugun Kambule actually made. It's a post that I saw, and it was about that, what she envisaged and what she envisioned in the industry. She wants to understand, she wants an equal scale, she puts it that way, an equal scale, a balancing scale where we have an understanding of both strengths. And I think this is why we're having this conversation. And you're absolutely right, Yvonne, that we need to take the lead on this. We cannot sit back and complain. I want to move on to the next question, that we have now regarding I'm going to pose it to you, Ms. Litepo, regarding just, from a personal perspective and personal experience, what was your journey? What were the I think the things that you think you have applied in your role that have worked for you, and what else have you done that you feel, oh, I should have, maybe it was a learning from your side? So if you can just maybe address that question for me.
Sure. I just loved what Yvonne and Marta said around showing up. And maybe I'll just start in terms of my challenges. Growing up, obviously, there was never someone of my role in the organization. And I deliberately pointed out that I come from Soweto. In the earlier years, as a young manager, one of the things that really struck me coming into a corporate world, and something that I was very conscious of, is I felt I was surrounded by people who were very eloquent, who came from Model C schools, and I had none of that accent. And it really made me to not show up. It made me to get quite withdrawn. And I share this story because that was a personal challenge for me in not actually speaking up. Because to be honest, what you find in corporate and businesses is people often conflate eloquency with competence.
Yeah.
So then the two go hand in hand. So, but where I was quite lucky, and I'm not just saying this, where I was actually very, very lucky is I got the opportunity to go and work in Brand South Africa. In Brand South Africa. And there, the opportunity was really, I was respected for the competency that I brought on the table. There were guys from government. It was quite a mixture of experiences that really helped and opened me up to a large extent. In transitioning yet again, I got an opportunity to go and work in the UK. Now, this is the Queensland, where you think people speak perfect English. It's a melting pot of people from different cultures. And that was, for me, quite a defining moment in self-acceptance and embracing who I really, really am as a human. So that was one of the challenges of actually not showing up and thinking that I'm not good enough, that I'm not competent enough. I'm quite fortunate to be working for a high-performing organization where at the end of the day, results will still speak for themselves, at least in the junior years. So I think that was just one challenge that I wanted to pose is around self-acceptance and in showing up. And that was a struggle, but fortunately where I am right now, even as I sit in global boards with guys from Pakistan, Brazil, etc. So it's more about what you bring on the table. Have the confidence to accept the value that you bring on the table, and that then starts to show through. So that is one lesson, Memoria, that I can perhaps share in the journey is self-acceptance and actually embracing who you are. That's when you feel confident enough to show up.
Absolutely. And I think this is actually throwing forward to my next question, because we're going to talk about, self-branding. And I know, Yvonne, you very much, you addressed it in your business as well. You call it self-mastery, which is beautiful. I think I'm going to chat to Gilebohile because that's also quite something that she's huge in terms of being able to nurture, or rather be able to be confident and build a self-brand, a personal brand about yourself. So Gilebohile, I would like you to come in here because you know, sorry, I'm black, so I kind of like feel that there needs I need to call Mrs. Lippe too and all of that, so please forgive me. But just what you are saying, a lot of us struggled with that. Coming in, I mean, English is your second language as well, and you feel like you have all of this knowledge, but you can't express it the way you want to express it. And eventually, as you build your career and build confidence in yourself, you now are able to express yourself and share your views. So it's something that what you say is very relevant. The reason why I wanted to jump on this one, because now when we look at self-branding, you mentioned something earlier that we don't do self-branding and enough as women. You know, we feel as if somebody else has to, you know, shine the light on us in order for us to be able to express ourselves. And you know, you deal with a lot of young minds as well around this. How do you address this? How important is it to you know, to have a personal branding? And please also address it from a leadership perspective. And maybe Mrs. Mate, you can also come in here, and Ma'am Yvonne, in terms of in terms of personal branding, do you feel that this is intertwined into your leadership role, or do you see yourself as one brand in this element and then another brand in your leadership position? So, Siskile, maybe you can start.
Okay, so I've been very passionate about personal branding from my younger years, because I believe that, you know, especially in the marketing space, you are a brand. Everybody is a brand, from your name and surname. And these are things that we fail to, you know, align with on a day-to-day basis, knowing very well that we consume products and services, you know, we consume different brands, but that's the same is not applicable to us, because if I'm going to go out there and apply for a job, you know, I'm putting myself out there, yet we expect people to do it for us, but we don't actually believe that we are brands. So personal branding for me has been a very personal journey, because it's taken a lot of introspection, a lot of reflection, and a lot of authenticity about who I am, what my values are, what my skill set is, and how do I use that to empower myself and to empower everyone around me. And, you know, I mentioned that, yes, I work with a lot of girls, but I do work with boys, because again, males are also affected by certain things. And when I teach my students, I'm like, you're all going to brand yourselves, whether you're male or female. You're going to understand your core being. You are going to go into your depth. You're going to do that SWOT analysis on yourself to discover who you are, what you believe in, which opportunities lie out there for you, and what threats actually exist, which you can turn into opportunities. What are your weaknesses? So this is something that we don't often talk about. And like I mentioned earlier on, we really shrink ourselves, you know, because you're not supposed to celebrate your achievements. You know, I keep on asking myself, why do we go to school? You know, why do we start up businesses? And then why do we do certain things and then go and hold ourselves back? Because if we do them with authenticity, and which most of us do, we can use that to celebrate ourselves and to empower other women and inspire other women and other young people out there, you know. So personal branding is very, very important. And, you know, I'm going to share context as to how I started with it. So in marketing, when you're doing the marketing diploma, there's a module called personal selling. And this is where my preference started, where I did not like personal selling because it's sales and you have to get yourself out there. So while being bored about it, I actually turned it around to personal branding, because I have the belief that I cannot expect anyone to employ me as a marketer and ask me to sell their products and services if I cannot sell myself. That is just something that I'm very firm on. So I started growing onto it. And this year I actually launched my website, where I just said, you know what, girl, get yourself out there. Get yourself out there. You're not being pompous about it. You're not being arrogant. I actually operate from a space of humility, because I'm like, there's so many opportunities to collaborate if we just put ourselves out there as women, and also with men as well. Because I want to just touch on the issue with men. Men, I'm not a product of just women. I'm a product of both men and women. And men, as much as we complain that, you know, patriarchy exists in our society, we must hold ourselves back, we must do some of these things, we forget that the very same men are products, and, you know, they get affected by patriarchy, you know. So when I do what I do in terms of collaborating and branding myself, I always ensure that I acknowledge men that work with me. I acknowledge people that attribute towards my brand. I learn from a lot of men and women, and I'm not fearless about doing it anymore, because I've realized, especially in my academic space, that we study so hard, we do so much research, there's output, we try and align with industry, but then we're supposed to stay back and not celebrate ourselves. So I've taken that opportunity. Even at the university, they know that I brand myself, and I encourage other women and other people to brand themselves. A simple thing like a photo shoot. When was the last time we all did photo shoots that actually communicate our brands? Have you actually understood what your brand is? Have you tapped into your potential? Have you acknowledged your potential and respected yourself like that you must put yourself out there? And personal branding for me is really, I'm passionate about it because it's a master of, getting yourself out there and mastering yourself and showing people that, what, we are all here for a purpose. We are all here to collaborate. We are all here to empower. We are all here to inspire. We are also here to learn from others. So how are we going to do that if we don't brand ourselves? How are we going to achieve that? So that is something that, in most of the platforms where I speak, I emphasize that, what, ladies or gents, let's do that SWOT analysis. Let's not be scared to introspect, to reflect, and to grow ourselves, so that we put ourselves out there in order to inspire others and to also collaborate. Because once we collaborate through branding, through you mastering your brand and knowing what you're about and what your skill set is, trust me, we are opening up opportunities for other people to do the same. We are opening up opportunities for collaboration and creating opportunities for others that may not have access to those opportunities. So personal branding is a baby for me, and I encourage each and every single person to really tap into that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kilebohile. And I think your response is also covered in terms of, what's missing from a mentorship perspective. And I think everyone in the leadership role should actually look into that and help, especially, young professionals who are starting up, who are looking up, aspiring to be leaders one day. That how do you start doing that now in your position working up? So Mate, I wanna come to you as well from that, because what I wanted to also explore is that you're a woman in leadership role, and you're a CEO. When we think about your personal branding, do you think that your leadership role is detached from your personal branding, or you find that how you brand yourself and mastered, how you present yourself and mastered how you now have an understanding of yourself as a woman, that you use those qualities in your leadership role?
I think I'm going to go long-winded way. And I'm glad you shifted the question, because what Kilebohile said is what I believe in, but in being, sorry, people are saying bye in my office. I'm first Mate before I'm a CEO. That's number one, right?
Yeah.
I'm first Mate. And being first Mate, what did I learn? How was I raised? And for me, that is the most important thing. And maybe some people might not default to that, but I default to that because I had an amazing woman who raised me, all right? And having an amazing woman who raises you, that becomes my authentic self, And my authentic self, I don't forget where I come from. Absolutely. I never, ever, even as a CEO, I don't forget where I come from. When a young person walks into my office, then I hold myself as, I'm a CEO, I'm not going to talk to you. No. And have that highfalutin, nose up, take my papers, that kind of diminishing, where you diminish people. I don't do that because I go back to where I come from. And for me in a leadership role, if you had to fall down and die in the passage, you mustn't be that person where people are like, "Yo, thank you, Jesus." She's gone. You know, it must be tears and prana of, damn, she touched my life. Damn, I came in here, she put me there. She told me I was a giant and I operated as a giant, you know, because we can all be giants in one space. Giants are not only about you as a CEO. The person who's helping you with the tea, washing your dishes, you tell them they're a giant. You make them believe they are bigger than what somebody else tells them they are this small. You tell them that and you encourage them, live as a giant. Watch your glass shine when it comes to your desk because she believes in what she does. She's now a giant. You haven't diminished anybody. And it doesn't mean when you are in a leadership role, you diminish anybody.
Yeah.
Everybody is as powerful as you are. And as a leader, you need to bring people with you. If you don't bring people with you and you discount, somebody was talking about, I think it's Letepu, who was talking about I come from Soweto, you know, it's what Deep Kloof. That's where I come from. But fortunately, I had better opportunities in terms of I went to good schools and all of that. But it doesn't make me any bigger than Letepu. Just because she couldn't speak English, she couldn't operate at that level. And also, in a leadership role, when you are interviewing people, you're going to meet a multitude of people who have different types of education. Some who don't even have a degree, but they're amazing people. They are amazing people. A degree does not make you clever. Let's understand that. You can have 10 degrees and be the dumbest person on this earth. 10 degrees. But when you are authentic and you are real,
Yes.
and you wanting to put people up here, be higher than me, then it's different. Because people then come with you. You can tell them that, hey, we now live in Iceland. They will come with you. Believe that they live in Iceland. But when you diminish people, you diminish yourself.
Oh, wow.
When you diminish people.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that is so powerful. I think I'm really enjoying today's conversation. And Andrew, please be my timekeeper as well, because I really want to connect and engage as well with the audience out there, you know, I almost said the listeners, because now I feel like I'm running a TV show. So coming in, like Yvonne, if you... Yeah, Mati, I think I'm just taking everything that you've just said.
Sorry, can I just add a little bit?
No problem.
In my past life, I was a hard boss. I was performance, not recognizing people have hearts, all right? And all of us have hearts. And I'm now a cancer survivor. I had 3 years of hell, double mastectomy and all. But that 3-year journey was a necessary journey for me to get what I'm talking about, because I would have never reflected and said, how am I hurting the next person? Yeah. So that journey for me, and some of us need those kind of journeys to actually come out, a phoenix that rises from the ashes, as white people say, you know? And I think when you find that authentic self, you are on magic. You are on magic. You'll be on a high for the rest of your life. You'll even enjoy a glass of water when you need champagne.
Hey, thank you, Sis Mati. I think that is really amazing, and your story truly is inspiring. And you know, just hearing you say that also there are things that you've learned in your journey that have made you the woman that you are. The hardships that you've gone through, they've made you the woman that you are, and they've actually opened you up as well to be able to you have a different perspective about those who look up to you as well. So that's really, really amazing. So just coming back to business, when you look at our industry, COVID has hit us very hard. I think nobody can say, it's been so great. Maybe some industries they can say so, but I think in our industries, in terms of marketing and advertising, we've been hit so hard. And there's an article that I actually read, and a woman called Kristalina, who is the business leader and managing director of International Monetary Fund. She said the most powerful statement. She says, during COVID crisis, women have revealed their enormous capabilities. And Yvonne, I just want to ask you that, looking at the unique qualities of women leadership, from your point of view, are you in agreement with this statement? And if you can please profile the women qualities from your perspective in terms of what are those unique qualities that we as women possess and we were able to actually tackle the crisis that we are having currently.
Thank you, Memoria. I think having Mate and myself on the same panel I feel a little redundant because we speak exactly the same language. So it's fantastic to hear how I believe being articulated so well. There's just two quick points I want to come back to. The one was Kelebogile's point about personal branding. My belief, and your original question, Memoria, was, should it be different? My belief is that every single time you open your mouth, you either build your brand or you destroy your brand. There is no neutral space. So you need to show up as that complete, authentic person every moment of every day. There's one slight point of difference. I totally and utterly get Mate's belief in telling people they can be giants. I think that that's so essential. So many people speak negatively to themselves. However, there is one danger, and that is that when you praise people who are not delivering excellence, you encourage mediocrity. And I think that when you encourage mediocrity, you dumb us down, and we end up Angie Mosheching ourselves into 30% pass rates. And I don't believe in mediocrity at all. So for me, I would rather have a conversation which looks somebody in the eyes and says, I think that piece of work that you've just given me was 75%. What I need to get it to 100 is. And so what you do is you start to mentor people into excellence. And I think the heart that Mate talked about is our single defining difference. Although I'm finding increasingly men are tuning into their hearts as well. I think businesses need heart. And I think if you can be clear and firm and authentic and tell the truth and do it with love, I think you're going to be an amazing leader. So for me, it's to get that delicate balance of being scrupulously honest always so that we create excellence, which I think women are very good at, and doing it in a way that builds people, doesn't break them. So I'm in alignment with everything that has been said here today. I think that the one other point was brought up right at the very beginning, and that is that I think we need to destroy today this myth that women do not look after other women and pull them up the ladder. I think that is a load of nonsense. I have spent 40 years building not only women, but anybody who I saw who had talent. But I have spent a lot of my career and energy and effort on empowering particularly women. I don't think I have ever knowingly gone out of my way to destroy a woman. I like people to step into their greatness, to step into their power. And so I would like to destroy that myth forever. I don't ever want to hear it that women don't support other women. I think it's nonsense.
Yeah, sure. And what you said there, because there are women who have encountered not being empowered by other women. That's, you know, the reality.
It's not about the woman, you see. It's just about the person. When we stop talking about black and white and start talking about the people, when we stop talking about men and women and start talking about the people, the quality of the humans, let's talk about the quality of the people. So men can do it, women can do it. I just don't like these differentiations. They're good men and bad men. They're good black people and bad black people. They're good white people and there's some shocking white people. Let's lose the labels and look at people from a heart perspective and tune into our common humanity and treat each other with common humanity and love. And then we'll have some proper conversations.
But can I just add to what Yvonne is saying? Because I think the people who tend to point at this woman did not let me get up that ladder, they never pointed themselves and say, what was the contribution I made? What did I do to get shunned out, to get pushed out? Because if I'm given tasks and repeatedly you don't perform, I'm going to shut my door. I'm not interested in you, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man.
Exactly. That's
whether
my
you're
point.
woman or whether you're a man, you need to deliver.
Yeah.
It's about delivery. And if you don't deliver, don't come and have a party with me because I'm not interested in that.
Or me.
Did you see, ladies, can I come
Maria,
in?
I think that's a critical point. That's a critical point that's just been raised because your starting question was what are the unique qualities of female leaders?
Yes.
And I wanted to differ slightly to say, let's start in saying, as a leader, what do you require? Any leader, whether you are male, female, black, white, it's about obviously competency, delivering on your commitments, all the things that we know about leadership.
Yes.
It's pulling them together, and anybody at any position at any point in time, you need to possess those skills. Perhaps the question is, what is additional that women actually bring that could be slightly different? Because yes, there are differences. Yes. And if you had to ask me from my personal experience, two things that really come about that women are generally quite good at, and we should leverage on, is empathy. You know, and what do I mean by empathy? It's not a soft skill. There's nothing soft about being empathetic, but it's actually the ability to step into somebody else's shoe. You know, I've seen in my experience, women repeatedly have that, and that's how you're able to deliver through people. So that is the one thing that women actually are able to bring into the core. But the bigger crux of it all for me is really what are, it's not about soft skills that women possess, it's about leadership. In any role that you step into, you show up as a leader. And then maybe there could be some learnings around what women tend to be quite good at that can be learned by both male and female.
That is powerful. That is powerful.
Memoria, I have a question from one of the attendees. I think it's basically addressed to everyone in the panel. The name is Mlu Maguba, who's asking how to strike the balance between being a successful woman in your career and also being able to inspire and be successful in women who are your siblings, who are in your sibling circle. Because I think the question is more about striking the balance of success, being successful in leading from a career point of view, but at the same time, from your siblings' point of view.
So, Matt, I think let's start with you. Maybe you can address that question.
That's a very strange question, because if you're authentic, you don't have to change. If you show up as real as you are, you don't have to be a different person to your sisters, to your mother, to your in-laws. You are the same person because you are your authentic self. So, and I think I saw a question where somebody in the chat room was saying, how do I inspire my family members, my friends to get where I am or to understand where I am? we're not the same in life. That's one thing we also have to accept, that people can't be as ambitious as Mate. There are women who are happy being housewives, and it doesn't make them any stupider or any, sorry, I speak strange English. It doesn't make them any less because they're playing their role as that women. You know, we all play our different roles. Here we are, we all sitting here, we career women, we executives. You didn't invite a housewife here. Had a housewife come on board, she would have given her experience as a woman, how powerful she feels managing her house. So let's not discount the roles we play as women. For me, every role is important. Just like we don't discount the roles men play. Just because he's a taxi driver and he's a truck driver, he's a train driver, and he's a CEO, he's still a man. He's still a man. The bottom line is a man, and he's going to be a man. So us as women, why would you show up differently to different groups of people? And I have a situation where my sisters are not, some of my sisters are not as ambitious as I am, but they're in the role that they are meant to be in. And they're happy doing it. Accept that they're happy and show up as you, they show up as them and love them as them. That's just my thinking.
Thank you so much, Mate. Andrew, is there another question as well from the audience before we wrap up?
No, I think the audience, most of their comments they're giving, it just shows inspiration. They're getting inspired. I think we're going to invite them next year to be on a panel, because it looks like the inspiration they're getting is making them not want to ask hard questions. And I said to them, ask hard questions. So yeah, I think at the moment, Memoria, we have less than 10 minutes. Maybe we can, like, the next round should be towards closing remarks and any inspirational messages from our panelists before we send them the checks.
Okay, so I think closing remarks definitely, and how I want to pose this is that, just to wrap up, the unique qualities of a woman leadership. And if you can do your closing remarks in terms of profiling, this woman in leadership, and maybe let me just rephrase, as Yvonne has stipulated, that let's just address as, so unique qualities of leadership which you possess, and who has been the inspirational woman in your life that you feel they have contributed professionally to the woman that you've become today. If it's a man, it's also fine. Just whoever has contributed. I'd like you guys to actually close off in that sense. And Ms. Letepo, I'd like to start with you.
Look, I'm quite lucky to be surrounded by greatness. So I've got many, many people who inspire me from different fronts. And I'm inspired by people dead or alive. I'm inspired by Thomas Sankara, and the vision that he had for the continent. I really am. I'm inspired by lots of women in my networks and in my groups. So I think that for me would be it. And I always say I'm lucky to be surrounded by women who are the wind beneath my wings. That's the key thing. So, and in closing, in talking about people who aspire us, perhaps some parting words in terms of as women and as leaders into this journey. Two things that I would like to call out, and the one thing which is a critical one is continuous learning. I know it sounds very clip, but if you invest just that 1 hour in yourself, I mean, it's scary that average person spends more than 2.5 hours on social media. Continuous learning will actually help feed into your curiosity and make you a very interesting person. And as you rise in your growth and your development, it doesn't really matter whether you are, to Mate's point, in whatever sector that you are, it's always good to make sure that you have either a coach, a mentor. These are things that I wish I had known much earlier, and a sponsor.
Sure.
You know, a sponsor is someone who will talk about you when you are not in the room. And that for me has actually been what's actually led me to where I am. And I'm participating today, hopefully sharing my story and inspiring other people, because it's from the other ladies who've inspired me that I've actually get to grow and develop.
Oh, thank you so much, Ms. Litebo. And I'm gonna hand over to you, Gilebohile, if you can also share your closing remarks.
Okay, my closing remarks are centered around, you know, being fearless, being truly fearless and truly authentic as well about who you are, what you have to put out there, how you interact with people. And, you know, I'm a firm believer in mentorship, and, you know, we have to really acknowledge mentorship. There's a lot of women and men that play a role in our lives on a day-to-day basis, and it can be anyone from any walk of life that has a huge impact on you. And it's something that we need to start communicating out there. We need to start showing people the impact of mentorship, because, like I said, I'm not self-made. I'm made through a tribe of women and men that have contributed to where I am. So we need to really be fearless about acknowledging people that play roles in our lives. We need to be fearless about putting ourselves out there, and we need to really, really put a huge emphasis on mentorship and collaboration, because as people, as tribes, we need to stick together, we need to work together, and where people are lacking, let's empower them. Let's really empower them, and let's grow people as much as we're growing ourselves. Let's grow people. You know, I've got a lady that actually did my makeup, and she's a housewife. She's a housewife. And I said to her, you know what? I'm a mom who is juggling multiple roles alone. But you know what? I admire you so much, because as much as people may perceive you to be sitting at home, sweetie, you're not just sitting at home. You are doing the most as well. You know, that house, for it to be clean, for those kids to be at school on time, and for you to still, you know, pursue something on the side. That is an achievement, and let's celebrate achievements, such small achievements, and let's encourage each other as women. And let's also encourage our men, because we've got men that are really coming to the party for us. And that's my biggest emphasis, because I say this with passion that, you know, we are moving forward, and let's not forget the men that are coming with us, that are pushing us. Because at the end of the day, you know, as much as we believe in women empowerment and women's rights, there's men that also believe in us. There's men that also push us. Let's not leave them behind. And let's change the narrative that not all men, you know, don't want to support us women. Let's change that narrative. If you are aware of people that have played a role in your life, acknowledge them and take them with you. And you know what? Stay humble in all that you do. That's one thing that I believe in. The humility and the authenticity go a very long way, and also embracing diversity. Thank you.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Gilebohile. And I want to comment on that, but I just have to hold back so that I give Yvonne and Mate enough time to wrap up on your side. Yvonne, on your side, your closing remarks. Oh, you need to unmute.
She's forgotten.
Sorry, it's been a massive pleasure to be in this company. I must say it's inspiring. Who of the people who've been inspiring for me in my career? The people who told me the truth, the people who looked me in the eye and who said, I expect more of you. The people who said, that work's not good enough, go back to the drawing board and come back to me. The people who made me cry all the way home, but who made me raise my game. Those are the people who I respect and who I emulated my leadership on. For me, my wrap-up remarks are really for women to stop being parochial, start to look at the big picture of the business, the big picture of relationships. This is not about winning. It's not about who's going to win. It's not about beating each other. It's not about beating other women or beating men. Let's look at the big picture. It's not about winning. And my last thought is actually a question. When you believe that women are not treated equally, how do you behave? Mm-hmm. And when you believe that women are treated equally, how do you behave? And I invite you to choose the appropriate behavior. Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh, thank you so much, Yvonne, for that. Oh, thank you. Mate, if you can jump on board as well, your closing remarks.
I think I'm going to go to a very sensitive closing remark.
Yeah.
And that's the plight of women. And for me, it's important that we bring it up because some people come to the work environment and they are being abused at home. They're being abused in the workplace. Wherever they shift, there's this oppression.
Yeah.
And I think as women, we need to be real about that. And I think as women, we need to have courage to speak up. Because when you have the courage to speak up, we can change this environment that we're living in. In our corporates, you know, you get in, some men are they just misbehave. They just misbehave. And it crushes you as a woman. It diminishes you as a woman. And I'm not here to blame people, but this is a critical issue in our society that we're experiencing right now. And for me, all I pray for every day, because I'm a Christian, is women to have courage to speak up. Because you don't know, another woman might just help you through this. Another man might just help you through this. Yeah. We are there to help each other. We are there to protect each other. Yes, I know you're going to go back into that environment, but if you don't say anything, I will be coming to your funeral, you know? And I think as women, let's not have that judgmental eye of woo sham woo. And we thought she was happy.
Yeah.
It's not about that. That's my plea to women is speak up. There's somebody who's there to listen to you. There's somebody who's there to hear you. There's somebody who's there to help you. My inspiration comes from my daughter. She's 13 years old, but her being 13 years old takes me back to authenticity.
Yes.
Young kids are constantly authentic. They are real. Yes, they tell lies now and again when they're about to get punished, but they're truly authentic. And for me, authenticity is everything. Absolutely. I need to show up as my real self, even if I'm hurt and even if I'm crying. CEOs cry, CEOs get hurt. We are not in this bubble where nothing touches us.
Yeah.
We also have a heart. And for me, my authentic self, I'm always reminded when my daughter shows me herself. And I'm reminded, go show yourself.
Oh, wow. That is so powerful. I think every remark that you have shared with us today, ladies, is very important. It touches on real matters that we go through on a daily basis and matters that are happening out there and even in our industry, because we are definitely not immune. And even when you are in leadership, you are not immune to this to what is happening out there. And I just want to thank each and every one of you, for being with us and sharing from your wealth of wisdom regarding this conversation. And I think an hour is not enough. I think we should have more sessions and have these discussions because there's so much to unpack out of that. But I think for just to actually have had this conversation and the direction it has taken, truly, personally, I've learned from you, and I am very thankful that you were able to open up in that sense so that we get to see these different facets that exist as women in leadership and address those issues that are happening, whether in our companies or in our personal spaces, so that we get to show the world that the onus is on us as women to change the narrative and to change our perspective of what is going on out there. And we are supporting each other. I've got young women who have graduated from the AMASA learnership program. And every time when I hear these stories, tears get in my eye. And so what you guys were saying and highlighting, that let's not always stress about women are not supporting each other, you know, as much as it might be happening, but there's more women. So let's tell these stories. How has another woman inspired you? Let's not be shy about it. Let's, you know, express ourselves, branding, because we're talking about authenticity. Sometimes we want to be too professional that we then take away from expressing ourselves from who we truly are. You know, the heart of a woman is needed in business. I can tell you that. So really, thank you so much, Andrew and the team. Thank you for putting all of this together. I actually want to put it out there. I know I'm putting the committee on the spot that we need more sessions like this where we have, as women, we can further discuss, you know, matters that help us to build each other, so that even men in our industry can eavesdrop into the conversation and learn as well. So I've got a son and a daughter, so I'm very passionate about the empowerment of humanity in totality. Anything for me that creates a division between the two, I feel that we're not being progressive, and the new generation is thinking in a different way, and we are to, you know, be like that. So I really want to thank you. And thank everyone who's watching. You are a powerful, show up. You are a powerful woman. Show up every day and be yourself authentically. Your qualities are needed in the industry. And thank you guys so much. Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, guys, show up. I think the big takeaway for today is show up. So everywhere we go, we'll show up. And to all men there out there, please show up and not allow this gender-based violence to continue, because it's happening under our watch. We should hang our heads in shame, because it's really unacceptable. And yeah, to everyone, we'll see you in the next AMASA forum in September. It's gonna be a hot one again. Yeah, this is it.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye, the panelists. Bye-bye, all who attended. See you next month.